Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about shortages and damages. So, you as an independent truck dispatcher sooner or later will unfortunately run in a situation where you will have to deal with shortages or damages. What are shortages and damages? Situation of shortages happens when your client's truck arrives at the receiver and according to the paperwork, some of the product that was transported is missing. There's just not enough boxes, not enough pallets, or something like that. Damages is also somewhat similar when your client's truck arrives at the receiver. Some of the product or the cargo is damaged. In this situation, you as a dispatcher can only provide two things. One is efficient communication, and second one is an advice, if you are experienced enough, to your client as to what should or should not be done. In this video, we're going to talk about some solutions you can utilize and that may help you and your client in the future. So first, we shall discuss shortages because they are somewhat easier to deal with than damages. When shortage occurs, in most cases, it happened because the shipper miscalculated the number of product they put on the truck. Shipper assumed that they loaded, let's say, 50 boxes on the truck when in reality they only loaded 48 and 2 went missing. It is much less likely scenario that your driver ate a pallet of potato chips or sold off 3 boxes of 7-Up off the back of the truck. So more than likely it is a miscalculation, and to deal with it, the easiest thing that can be done is to make sure that broker is immediately notified and broker reaches out to the shipper to see what they say about this situation, because very often shipper will say, oh yeah, that's right, we thought we shipped this much cargo and in reality it was this much cargo. With that being said, the next question might be, is your client responsible for this shortage? And the answer is, it depends. In most cases, shipper loads the trailer and driver does not participate in the loading process. Therefore, the driver doesn't know what or how much is being loaded. Okay, very often trailer gets sealed at the end of the loading process and then the receiver breaks the seal when the load is being unloaded. So, as long as your client's truck arrived with seal being intact, it is very likely that shipper has miscalculated, and this needs to be noted. Now, in a different situation, some loads require driver to count the freight. Okay, so driver has to count the boxes, pallets, whatever, and then driver has to sign off on the number of items that went on the truck. Now, in this case, if there is a miscalculation, that is a miscalculation that was made by the driver, and if shipper does not play along or agree that something went wrong with calculations, this may become a responsibility of your client because driver had to count the freight and driver put a certain number on the bills of lading. So, if the driver doesn't know how to count, that can lead to certain unfortunate outcome. One way or the other, it is very important for you as a dispatcher to do one thing. One, you have to advise the driver to stay where he is. Don't leave the facility, don't sign any bills, don't do anything until he gets further instructions. Number two, you must call your freight broker immediately and let them know this is the problem we're dealing with. Okay, and then you may want to wait for the broker to clear out this situation. For example, if shipper says, oh yeah, we forgot to load this X number of boxes on the truck, you want to get a confirmation from the broker that that is the case and it is okay for your driver to leave the facility. You preferably want to get that confirmation in writing, not over the phone. You know, you want them to maybe send you an email and say, hey, yeah, everything is fine, you know, there is no problem. You may want to send them an email and say, hey, I want to make sure that those 5 missing boxes were miscalculation by the shipper, because when we build this load, we want to make sure we have no issues or problems. Once situation is resolved, everything is clear and good to go, then the driver can leave and go pick up another load. When it comes to damages, usually this situation is more complicated. One of the main causes of damages is improper loading. Okay, the truck is not being properly loaded and then something falls on something or crushes something underneath. In some other cases, if you are dealing with a NASCAR aspired driver, you know, it may be also the fault of a motor carrier where there was some reckless driving involved or some emergency braking involved and load got damaged. So again, just like with shortages, as soon as those are being discovered, driver must let you know, preferably take as many pictures as possible so it can be determined what happened, why the cargo got damaged. If it is clear that load wasn't properly loaded, the cargo wasn't properly loaded or secured, and it is shipper's fault, then again you need to notify your broker and let this broker know what has happened. Send them pictures and say, hey, we don't want to be responsible for this. We haven't loaded the trailer, and this is the situation, and we need you to provide us some sort of a confirmation that you're not going to be claiming it on our insurance or hold us liable in any other way. And again, preferably you want your driver to stay at the facility before this situation is sorted out. If your driver leaves, it becomes more complicated to resolve. But once you got clearance from the broker that everything is okay, you can leave. Obviously, if it was your driver's fault, then there is a reasonable chance that shipper may file a claim on the cargo insurance stating that cargo got damaged in transit, and your client may have to deal with that. I will, however, provide you with a word of advice. Sometimes it may happen that load gets delivered and your client may leave, and then you may receive, or your client may receive, a call from the broker stating that something was damaged and that they will be filing a claim on your client's insurance. If this is the case, again, you want to advise your client to get as many details as possible. First of all, you want to know what was damaged, how much of that was damaged, where is it, because if your client will be paying for the damages, in some cases damages may not be all that high, so it wouldn't be worth going through the insurance company, and your client may just choose to pay for the damaged goods. But when your client does that, those goods belong to your client. So I have seen situations when the broker would say, well, you owe us this much money, or we're filing a claim, and when client would ask the broker, where is the freight? I want to go look at it. I want to take some pictures of it for my insurance company, and then I want to pick it up, if we're filing a claim because it's mine, broker suddenly disappears. So, which tells you they were trying to pull some sort of a scam with the insurance. So, be aware of those situations. Try to get as much information and clearly communicate between driver, client, and freight broker. There is also one more aftermath effect of damages that can happen to your client, and that is basically damaged cargo being left on the trailer. This can also happen in a situation of overages, which is similar to shortages, but just goes in the other direction, where 50 boxes had to be delivered, but there were 55. So the receiver is not willing to accept extra cargo and it's being left on the truck. What do you do in this situation? And why is this situation is very unpleasant? Well, when you have stuff on your truck, you cannot go and pick up another load because you'll have some leftovers of cargo on the trailer. And this can be handled, or has to be handled, primarily with the freight broker. Okay. In some cases, a broker may say that, hey, it's okay, shipper doesn't need those extra boxes, you can just keep it. Again, it's fine if it's a few boxes and driver can keep whatever is in those boxes or can discard them, that's fantastic. But if there are a couple of pipes left, then it might be a more challenging situation. So you need to find out from the broker what should be done with this product. And the problem for you now, you're stuck. Okay, you are losing time, you cannot go anywhere, and your client cannot be making money by picking up another load. You're stuck with the leftovers on your trailer. At this stage, you as a dispatcher probably want to kind of start applying some pressure on the freight broker and saying, hey, we need to get rid of this stuff ASAP because we have another load we need to pick up and we can't. Again, in most cases, broker will find a location where you can either donate or discard or deliver whatever you have, and then you can move on with your life. But sometimes it takes too much time and your client will end up missing the next load and therefore revenue for the day. This is very unfortunate, but this is the aftermath, a common aftermath of the shortages, damages, and overages that you may encounter in your career as a truck dispatcher. So, to summarize, damages and shortages will happen and you will have to deal with them. Your goal, number one, is to communicate. Number two is to provide advice to your client as to how they could handle these situations. Try to stand your ground because sometimes brokers will try to take advantage of you, and basically just do your best to resolve this situation so there is as little damage to all the parties as possible. And with all that being said, we are going to wrap up this video and I will see you next time.